one thing that I definitely advise people do: content, content, content. It's all about great content giving value. It is unimaginable what it can do for you.
Welcome everybody, welcome back to another episode, and today Gamel is our first guest on the show, so he is popping our cherry here. Welcome Gamel, welcome to our show. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great, Nicholas. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. I have you on here. It is rainy, but it's a great day. It's a great day. It's our first interview, so I am absolutely happy right now.
Same here. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Awesome. So let's just dive right into it. Who are you, and what do you do, and what inspired you to get started?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, my name is Gamel, and I'm just called Gamelian X, perhaps. I like that name. And what I do is I teach English online to Turkish people. I do online coaching to students, and that's what I actually do in a nutshell. I create content, and I'm on social media, on Instagram. So basically, that's what I do: online marketing in a nutshell.
Gotcha. Okay. And what inspired you to get started into this entire, teaching English? I noticed this is not your first language.
Yeah.
What is your first language, or where you're coming from?
So I'm from Ghana, and in Ghana, actually, I have my two local languages. Plus, English is our official language. So for our education purpose, we learn English. Now, the question of what inspired me to be teaching English is I came to Turkey at the age of 19, and I learned the Turkish language. In 6 months, I used the Turkish language for my education, graduating 3 years ahead of time. So actually, I finished my school a year ahead, and currently I'm doing my master's. And in this stage, because I was able to learn the Turkish also, and I have an English as a mother tongue also, I learned the differences and also what can actually help someone who is trying to grasp the English language. So my target audience is the Turkish people. So it's teaching English to the Turkish people. I realized I knew the differences and what can actually help them to understand the language properly. So that was my first inspiration because I learned Turkish, so I can explain it to the Turkish people how to better learn English. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Honestly.
Yeah.
We need more people like you, honestly.
Thanks. It's a bit exciting actually.
Awesome.
Happy.
So, in that sense, before we get really started with all the questions that's related to it, what are the best ways? We're gonna put every link to in the description. So if you guys want to follow along on his journey, we just drop him. But just tell me, what are the best ways to get in contact with you?
Well, I normally do Instagram. That's where most of my people are. So I have two Instagram accounts, but for English purposes, I say Gamelian X. That is a game Lion X. So that's what you can write for my English account. And on the main account, which is my business account, it's called Gamel Hoja. So these are the two main accounts. I totally agree. Of course, I'm everywhere on Facebook and all those places. But if you write me on Instagram, you find me there.
Okay, cool. Nice. I'm going to have the links down below in the description. So no worries if you cannot spell it properly. We got the link. We got you.
Perfect.
Awesome. So let's start off with a personal question, because I like the personal aspect more than the actual business side, especially when you get started. Did the beginning phase, so just a quick question, are you dating right now or no?
No, currently I'm not dating.
Okay, cool. So this is a question to this because I struggle with this a lot. And so the question is, did the beginning phase take a toll on the relationship or love life of yours? Or did you say, okay, I just don't want to have distraction? Or what was your thoughts to this? Like, do you want to have a partner? Did you say, no, I don't want it? What was what was that thing that you were thinking about there?
It's a topic I definitely love to talk about, and especially since I believe that answering this should be in as much as very objective. And personally, I'm not scared to share my views on this particular topics. I believe in relationships. I believe they are great stuff, but it all depends. And in everything that we do, sometimes we have to make sacrifices. From childhood, from high school all the way to university, trying to finish my education in 3 years. Deep within myself, I have to confess, totally believe that going alone, being solo, not having to think about any other thing or any other person, trying to cut ties was the secret to my success. Of course, I get bashed by people, but when I am in the most deep time of focus, it was a choice. I preferred to be single because I believe it has some kind of a superpower of it. Of course, there are other entrepreneurs who also took the other path where they got support, because
Yeah.
emotional support, and also in this time when you're thinking of great ideas, actually, that's when you're going to have depression. That's when you're going to have mental burnouts and stuff that sometimes you just need a shoulder to rely on. But
Yeah.
I think I took the other path and I went single actually in those processes. It definitely had an effect on my relationships and also on my family, even. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's thank you for sharing this because
Mhm.
I found out the same what you just described. So I had a
Okay.
partner last year and
Hmm.
I was on my way to get started and I had started working a lot and
Hmm.
that person was just a burden.
Hmm.
And the person she's a nice woman and whatsoever, but it was just not fitting to what I wanted to accomplish. So like you just
Exactly.
said, the distraction that causes it because you want to be the best boyfriend or you want to be the best partner, but then also you have your goals on the other side where it's like, okay, so both take time. You only have 24 hours. There's not more time than 24 hours a day.
Hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if the partner is not supporting you 100% into this, it simply is a distraction.
Yeah. Exactly. And
I go the single life now too. And I can tell you, I agree.
yeah.
You're just in pure focus. You have no other kind of distraction. You don't need to justify what you're doing or why you work 12 hours today or 13 or 14. You just
Yeah.
have no explanation needed for anybody. So I like that. Thank you so much.
That makes sense. And just to add to this, I know you are a big fan of Alex Hamosi, and actually, we just had a discussion before hopping on this. I think he's also a great example of the other side of what we are also talking about, which makes it actually put balance. Because when we look at Alex Hamosi and Layla,
Yeah.
these are people. Their relationship is fundamentally based on the fact that they have equal interest and for business purpose. And
Yes.
it's like for many people, they are like, is this a real relationship or is this a business? I think it is important on where the motivation is coming from. They found their interest and then they grew their love out of the interest.
Yeah.
And other people develop their relationships on love, which I'm not so sure what it actually means because it is so broad. It's a
Yeah.
very broad topic. So when you develop it first on emotions and feelings, and now comes the reality of what you feel as an entrepreneur, your interest, when there is a conflict, it's a problem. So nobody really knows where we have to start the journey from. But I think it's interesting. But I dare to say maybe it's like finding people who actually match your interests and developing love around your interests. I think that will be
Yeah.
a solution. Yeah.
I agree. It's 100% correct. Although
Mhm.
I need to say, Alex Hormozy got started first without Layla.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he discovered those skills that he's good at. And so he did
Uh-huh.
this. And while he was starting, he found Layla through Bumble, I think it was, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so apps do work. It's
Eh,
just both have to be on the same page.
Exactly.
But we
There
are
we
not
go.
here on a relationship advice podcast. This is just
Exactly.
something just wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's important that you have to figure it out yourself first,
Mhm.
and then people can join you on your journey, not the other way around.
Exactly. Makes
This
sense.
is, I think, this is my take on this. So, speaking of Alex Hormozy and Layla, because I think this is both of our mentors, I would
Mhm.
say. What else? Who other mentors do you have that helped you to get to the path that you're on today?
Yeah, it is interesting that there are many people out there who inspire us, and they are so far. I mean, we build circles around ourselves in terms of people who inspire us. So those people are the biggest circle. But this is going to surprise you. But one of the people who actually did this is Nicholas, the one I'm having an interview right now with.
Oh
Why?
wow.
Because that was in 2 years ago. That is right in the time of Corona, when I was actually thinking of either to quit my job and fully go into what I was now doing right now, which at that time I had no accounts. And even if I had it, I had 200 followers, and now I have 100,000 followers. You can imagine the gap. But it was the advice that you gave me, which was very tactical and very practical. So one of my mentors is definitely you. Then we can go on
Damn.
to talk about the
Oh
people
my
in the
god.
bigger,
Cry here.
yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. It's so important. Like the importance of us, Bill Gates was saying how we underestimate certain things that we have.
Yeah.
But it is very important to look at the big and then the small picture, and then someone actually spending the time to tell you, hey, let's look at your pricing. Let's correct this mindset. Let us look at this. So to me, that is what I look forward to as mentorship and guidance, actually. So thank you, man. That was great. 2 years ago, that was amazing. Yeah.
Oh man, that's thank you. That's really something heartwarming here.
Uh-huh.
So I appreciate that really. Do you
You're
have any
welcome.
other people that you'd like to mention that helped you to get to where you are right now?
Well, I found myself waking up every day looking at Elon Musk and also taking the Falcon Heavies to Mars. Elon Musk, his work ethics is something that
Mm-hmm.
I definitely look forward to. Gary Vee's method of for social media, show up, show up, show up. I mean, jab, 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 one of his books is something that really inspired me. Starting on the financial journey, I can always talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is
Mm-hmm.
Robert Kiyosaki. So I just picked up these three people at the beginning stage, and I took the different qualities of these people and I actually incorporated it in myself. So these are the people: Robert Kiyosaki, we have Elon Musk, and then also Steve Jobs, also a great example for me. Yeah.
Awesome. I like that. I really
Mhm,
like it.
mhm.
Like again, folks, I'm gonna link all the people if they have social media down in the description, and also, yeah, I think Steve Jobs. I don't know how to link that, but I'm gonna put a link something about Steve Jobs down there too because
Exactly. Yeah.
he is a really good brain to pick on from.
Exactly. Mhm.
Okay. How many years? So you already mentioned it kind of, but let's just dive back into 2 years ago or like about 3 years ago. How many
Yeah.
years are you in business now?
So it's been roughly 2.5 years now
Okay,
since I've been in business. Yeah.
got it. Okay, cool. And do you still remember your very first customer?
Oh yeah, I do. I
Tell me,
do.
tell me about how it felt, that first sale, that first kind of, how did it feel to show up and deliver off the promises you made? And
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, this is how it actually went. That was so. First of all, I had to prepare an offer of a package of lessons that I was going to give. It was a 10 lesson package that I actually did, and for the first time, I just started posting videos, not even saying I want to sell anything. It was just giving value out there, making videos on Zoom. I just record, I share my screen, and I'm teaching English. And some people were like, "Wow, I like your method. I think I want to take a lesson from you. Do you offer lessons?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I don't have a package." So I just did a package, a rough one. I thought the price was okay. And actually, I let it out there. So somebody just reached out to me, said, "Can I call you? Can we talk?" And I just said, "Okay." I was scared of pricing it. I was scared of giving out the price. But I mentioned it, and it's like, "Oh, really? 10 lessons?" I'm like, "Yeah," with my heart punting. And she said, "Yeah, okay, good. How do I make the payments?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, there we go." I'm like, "Sure, I'll send you my account details." And that was my first student. Now, when it comes to delivering, I said, "Hey, I gotta give 110% of what I've said I'm gonna do," and I believe I did that.
I
That is
like
with the
that.
customer service and also with the teaching and with the method, with the follow up and every stuff. I just followed up on that person right after every lesson. I just want to know what really happened in the other lessons, and it was a learning phase for me with that one student. And I always ask for her honest opinion of what went wrong, what does she need. I just create that environment of what freely tell me what you feel about the lesson.
I
That
love
helped
that.
me a lot. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love it. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Do you mind me asking how much did you charge for the 10 pack sessions?
Well, as at that time, I think I was charging $6 for a lesson, which was like 40 minutes on Zoom. So that was in a total of $60 USD
Nice. Okay.
uh, for 10 lesson package
That's
right on my
awesome.
laptop.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
You mentioned you're in Turkey right now, correct?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so just give you an idea, $6. Um, I like that because it just shows that you don't always, I think you always start small.
Mhm.
And this was a misconception I used to have a lot for a long ass time because I
Mhm.
was always thinking, okay, you always need to charge huge amount of numbers. And at some point when I talk to you about this, right, or to other people, they always started with either doing something for free for first and then just getting to just slow a little bit charging and then you go up with the prices. But for some reason I always had like, oh, you always need to charge full price what the big competitors are charging. And
Oh yeah.
so it's great that you mentioned it, how much they um well paid you to the first session. So it's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you
Yeah.
still have contact to her or no?
Yeah, I still do. I have contact with all my students, and the great thing, I have a Telegram group where I keep most of my students in. That's close to over 200 students who I actually have had direct or group contacts with. So I have contact with all of them, and I still get their feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they are like fans now. So yeah.
Awesome. I like it. I love it.
Hmm.
Speaking of this now, with Telegram, how did you market your services at first?
Hmm.
And was it different from today to like compared from today to when you started out? What did change and what got you the most traction?
Yeah. So there are different methods that many people have actually advised, but personally, what I'm good at, and one thing that I definitely advise people do, content, content, content. It's all about great content giving value. It is unimaginable what it can do for you. So
Mm-hmm.
mine was organic marketing with my Instagram account. I was pushing out content out there, post reels, stories every day, something posting like that. So at the beginning stage, it was very few followers. I was having like 3,000 followers after like close to like 6 months into my social media journey. So 3,000 people. So you know how many amounts of posts you have to do to get that amount of people coming. But as time went on and the account started growing, all I just need to do was to post a story. Hey guys, I've opened another class, and they come. So it was fine. It's like throwing up a hook for free and
Mm-hmm.
catching up something, which it's something that people are paying for, like with paid advertisements. I see the
Yeah.
advertisements everywhere, but mine was definitely organic, and it was all about making post content YouTube. So I was all over the platforms going to look for my customers, just
I love that.
jabbing everywhere. Yeah.
I love it. It's also a great example.
Hmm.
Again, thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Uh, Organic means, so for those who are not very familiar with the terms here,
Hmm.
organic just means you do not run any advertisements, so you do not purchase anything in the social media space to get seen. Basically,
Hmm.
what Gamal was doing is posting content, just creating a lot of content and just posting it, and do not pay for any placements in the ad spaces. So that's what that was.
Hmm.
And how did it change over those 2 3 years? Did you create more content? Did you create different type of content? What did you realize? Okay, this works for
Hmm.
you.
That's a great question. And also for the people watching this could be something great for each and every one of us. Was a simple strategy that I discovered. That was after every post, I definitely take my time to look at each and every single post. What happened? Why did more people share this post? What happened over there? What are some of the things that I said? And I realized there were some posts that, even though so valuable, people just pick it up and they want to share. They want to
Mm-hmm.
save it. So those kind of posts, I increased it. And the ones that were not performing, I reduced that and I kept remodeling those kind of posts. So my marketing strategy continued in that sense. And people wanted to have a bit of what you are doing. So rather than hiding myself from the people, I just wanted to show myself more to them and also the services that I offer. So I created a free course where it has some few models which were open on Udemy. And I call people, hey, jump on. And in 3 months, I had over 8,000 students joining. Now, this made the 8,000 people say, this guy's method is legit. I want to see more. So it's like you gave them a bit of it. It's like just like the other marketing strategy when you give people to test for free. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
walking in the street and people tell you, hey, have it. It's free. Test it. You test it and then you come back later to buy because you are convinced. So, but it was tricky for me at the beginning stage. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to give 8,000 people free course. How is it going to be? But that increased my credibility, that increased my Telegram, my Instagram, and that is even more than the money I could receive from 8,000 people, in my opinion. So
Yeah,
that's one of my crazy strategies that I actually implemented over time.
I like that. Speaking of the money part, how
Yeah.
much money do you make? I know we talked last week about this, but I'd like to share this also with our
Mhm.
listeners. How much money do you make on average, month over month?
So on average, just from the lessons and that I do, it's within the 1,300 USD.
Yeah,
So 1,300, that is the largest month was 1,500 USD. So yeah, that's what I actually make.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
I know this
You're
is
welcome.
a very sensitive topic,
Oh yeah,
but
it is.
yeah. So thank you for sharing. It's
Yeah.
very important. Since
Mhm.
you live in Turkey, the living costs are
Yeah.
less expensive than San Francisco, where I'm at. So
Yeah.
yeah. So don't get discouraged because of some numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers are not equal to one place to another. Just keep that in mind. And I'm absolutely stoked that you have come so far, honestly, because this is month over month. This is not just
Mhm.
one single thing. This is really,
Mhm.
I like that. I really love
Yeah.
that.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So next one would be what would you say was the most challenging part of starting out? It can
Well,
be about your social support. It can be emotional. It could be financially. And what was your biggest challenge in that sense?
mhm. The biggest challenge would always be implementing the ideas. I needed certain things, and I realized that the financial was also very crucial. For example, there was a time I realized I need to get a website. I needed to get an LMS, that is a learning management system. I wanted to create courses and upload it myself, not in a third party accounts like Udemy and stuff. I wanted to have and host my own courses and provide high level customer service to my people. Now, here comes the thing. So I need to hire someone who will do my website. I need to hire staff. And I know a lot of people say this, like delegate, delegate, delegate as an entrepreneur. This is one thing I have to say, which is open for debate. I always tell people as a young entrepreneur, we starting off. One of the key things that can actually discourage you as fast as possible is when you are waiting for other people to come and support you before you take action.
Hmm.
Sometimes you definitely have to take action. You have to be the jack of all trades. It's important. If you really want to be the entrepreneur, you have to do this because you might not know how to do a website. Hey, jump on YouTube and learn how to do that. Because if you're waiting to get the money to pay someone to do the website for you, who knows? Maybe you might make a mistake. I didn't have to pay for someone to do the logo. I had to sit. It took me like 3 days to make a logo, but I'm happy I did it myself. Why?
Yeah.
Because that logo changed like 4 times in just a year. So can you
Yeah.
imagine if I was to pay someone to do it? So I was discovering things, but it was taking a long time. So this was a challenge. I felt like, oh my God, it would have been great if I gave it to a professional to do it. I would have saved time. But the thing is, if I was to wait, I would never take action. So that was the major challenge, that there are some things I'm not an expert in, especially when it comes to the technological part.
Yeah.
And I needed support. I needed some kind of both financial and also maybe advice from people who just could have looked at it and say, Gamel, I think if you do it this way, it's going to be great. Or if you do it that way, it's going to be great. So not having that, the learning curve took a long time, but
Yeah.
it's great because now I can actually teach people when they join the team. I know what's going on. So even if they become experts, I can still have an input and know what they are doing. Yeah.
I like it. I actually
Hmm.
like it. It's
Hmm.
quite interesting. I never thought about this way, so thank you for sharing. I like that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I remember you had a job when we met the first time. I remember you had a job and you were not really
Yeah.
happy with the situation you were in. Do you
Yeah.
want to just dive into this real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I used to work in a company as a sales guy. I was taking care of the American market and the UK market, and I was just selling stuff. So I was working the general 9 to 5, and I was also a student at that time. It was so draining. Not draining because it's too much of work, but actually because of the lack of system and organization. So it drains you so much that I really deep within wanted to be a content creator. So it's like when I get home, I don't get the energy to actually. So that was draining me, and I was not happy with that job. And I discussed that with you, like how am I going to get out of this thing? And here we are today. I'm out of it.
I
Yeah,
love that. This is so
yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's really nice.
yeah.
Cool. So, in that sense, if you had the chance to tell your younger self one thing, if it's business related or not, what would it be?
I just 2 words. I just say just start,
Okay.
just start. That's it.
So,
It's
would you say you waited too long? Would you say,
Well,
or
well, personally, I think for myself, I always tell people like I go for it. I'm a go-getter. I wish I could also point out some negative part of myself. I was a perfectionist. That's why when I use the word just start, it is something that really hits me, my darkest side, which is my perfectionism, because I want everything to be perfect. Though I go very fast, I take action very fast, but I'm looking for perfectionism. And I believe just starting is what actually hits that part of me, which is a perfectionism. So I just
hmm.
throw it out there, just jump. That's it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like it. Okay, just
Hmm.
jump. Okay, nice.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and this would be the last question now. Who would you nominate to hop on our show that you find, okay, he is on the similar path you and I are on? Um, can be a content creator, can be a business owner or investor. Who would you want to be on the show to share also their story?
Well, over the years, I've actually been in contact with a friend called Kwame. His name is Kwame Samuel, and he's a guy who is actually in Ghana, who is also working on some projects. And we've partnered together for some projects trying to educate kids over there. And he's a very smart guy because of the way he's able to mobilize people and mobilize funds for some of his projects. Like he's totally a non-profit a guy, and it's interesting how he does it. So he's a person I would definitely say, hey, I would like him to hop on and tell you about his story, how he got started. Yeah.
Awesome. I like
Hmm.
it. I like it. Thank you for sharing. You're gonna send me his info, and then I'm gonna take a look, and I'll see if I can get him on the show. So
That'd be great.
thank you so much. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, Gamal, it was a pleasure. It was really nice to have you on the show. You've come a long way, and that you made it that far. It's really nice to see and hear, and we definitely stay in touch. And yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It's great. And always, just like always, thank you so much for the support. 2 years ago, what you did is still immense in my life. So it's very important. And the only thing I would like to say lastly, it's very important to share our ideas. And I think at the backside, when Nicholas and I were talking, it's all about giving out so much value because we don't know sometimes the words, the time, the hours that we spend for other people might completely transform the lives of others. So I think we both are on a mission because what you did 2 years ago actually affected me. And I'm also looking forward to be on the same mission. And I like the podcast and the idea. I've watched some of the videos and I think it's great and definitely something worth always spying out for. Exactly.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. I put all the links down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Gamel. And for that being said, thank you so much. See you next time.